Welcome children, welcome back to my channel. Children, I am Surbi teacher and I have already explained the process of respiration and their two stages, that is external stage and internal stage. External stage happens from outside of our body and internal respiration happens through internal part of our body and through cells of our body. That's why it is also known as cellular respiration. All right, now children, see here, it is a chemical equation. It is a chemical reaction of respiration. When glucose, that is the simplest form of food, combines with oxygen, it forms a gas, carbon dioxide, a liquid water, and it forms a lot of energy. Children, for this process, there are so many chemical reaction happens. Children, you can read the point number 1 to point number 4. Now children, there are two types of respiration: aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Children, as I have already explained, aero means air, that means oxygen. Anaero means absent of air, that means absent of oxygen. Okay, that means aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic takes place in the absence of oxygen. Okay children. Now children, you can see here oxygen is combining with glucose, and in the second reaction there is no oxygen because it is anaerobic. Okay children, the products forms are during the two reactions are different. In the first one, carbon dioxide, water and energy forms, and in the second reaction, anaerobic respiration, ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and a very few amount of energy forms. Okay children, in this aerobic respiration occurs in most of the occurs in most of the organisms like humans and other animals, but anaerobic respiration takes place in very small microorganisms like bacteria, fungus and parasites. Children, because this type of organisms do not require a lot of energy, because they do not do a lot of work. Okay, so they need only 2 ATP energy, so they form. Okay children. Now children, you can see the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. From the name it is clear, it happens in the presence of oxygen. Other one happens in the absence of oxygen. Children, it is the complete oxidation of food. It is incomplete oxidation of food. Okay. So children, it forms carbon dioxide and water as byproduct, that means as extra product, but they form ethyl alcohol or lactic acid as byproduct. Now children, they forms lot amount of energy, 38 ATP, and it produces only 2 ATP energy. Okay children, what is ATP? ATP is the unit of energy. Okay, now children, we will know only the respiratory system of human being. Okay, to know respiratory system of human being is most important. There are so many organs associated with this system. They are nose, nostril, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles. Okay children, what is the main organ for respiratory system? The main organ in which the air reaches is known as lung. Children, this is lungs. Okay Children, what is the role of nose and nasal cavity? Children, nose is the entry point of air. That means oxygen rich air enters from nostril into our body. Children, what is the role of nasal cavity? Inside our nose there will be a sticky fluid, that is nasal cavity, and there are some hair like structure, there are some fine hairs which help to prevent entry of harmful substances such as germs, bacteria and all, and dust particle. They prevent us from the dust particles. Children, there is one more important function of nasal cavity. It changes the temperature of air. Children, our body is hot, our body is warm, its temperature is 38 degrees Celsius, near to 38 degrees Celsius, but outer air is cold, atmospheric air is cold. So first of all it balances the temperature, it warms the air and then brings inside our body. Okay. Now children, what is pharynx? Children, the nasal chamber opens at the back side of nose and mouth into wide cavity, that is known as pharynx. Children, we also say pharynx as food pipe. Children, it runs down to the throat. It reaches to the throat, starting from the back side of nasal chamber and it touches the throat. Okay. Now children, see the next part. Just wait. The next part is pharynx. Okay. Children, pharynx is also known as voice box because it helps us in speaking. When we speak anything, there will be a vibration near our throat. You can see, you can feel, you can touch. So that part is the larynx. Okay children. Now children, trachea. Children, you can see here in the diagram, this is trachea. This is trachea like this, and there will be a ring like a structure in the trachea, and further trachea divides into two parts. The two parts are called bronchiole. Okay. Sorry children, these two parts are known as bronchus. Okay. Now bronchus further divides into so many small divisions that are known as bronchioles, and these bronchioles are connected through alveolar sacs. Children, these alveolar sacs are connected through lungs and they help in the exchange of gases. We will see here children. Children, the main organ, children, let us discuss few things about alveoli. Children, the exchange of gases between air and blood takes place across the wall of the alveoli, because inside our lungs, children, inside our lungs there are tiny alveoli and there are some blood capillaries. Children, you can see the network like structure, they are blood capillaries. Okay. So children, alveoli help in the diffusion of oxygen with our red blood cell, that is hemoglobin, and from that it makes oxyhemoglobin. So children, the main organs are lungs. Children, what is the location of lungs? They are protected inside the rib cage. Children, around the lungs there will be some bone like a structure like this. These are the rib cage. This, or we can say it as protective cage. Okay, and are supported by a curved muscular seat below called diaphragm. Children, there will be a diaphragm below the lungs. Okay. You can also see diaphragm in page number 71. It is clearly shown diaphragm. The blue parts are diaphragm. Okay. Children, how does the exchange of gases takes place? When the air reaches the alveoli in lungs, the oxygen from the air is diffused into blood capillaries. That means the oxygen combines with blood capillaries. The diffused oxygen combines with hemoglobin in RBC, red blood cell, and it forms oxyhemoglobin. Children, oxyhemoglobin reaches into each and every cells of our body. That's why it is known as cellular respiration. Children, after the exchange of gases, there will be the second stage, that is the cellular respiration. Children, you have to read this whole paragraph. This is so important. Okay. Now see here. Children, we already know what is breathing. The entry of oxygen in our body and the exit of carbon dioxide is known as breathing. Okay. The main organ responsible for breathing is, which is the main organ? Children, it is the process where we inspire air through our lungs. We inspire air into our lungs through the nose. Okay. Children, you can say nose and lungs are the main organs for responsible for breathing. Okay. Children, when we breathe in air, that is called inhalation, and when we breathe out carbon dioxide gas, that is called exhalation. Okay. Children, an average human being a general person breathes 15 to 18 times per minute. That is also known as breathing rate in a minute. In a minute, how many times we breathe? That is known as breathing rate. Children, when we do some special activities, some physical activities in which lot of energy are required, then our breathing rate increases, like running, exercising, climbing stairs, and at that time more oxygen is supplied to our body and we get lot of energy for doing that work. Okay. So children, there is a mechanism of breathing. The lungs are present in an airtight space in our body, that is known as chest. Okay. Just wait, children. Let us read this paragraph again. The last paragraph. The process of breathing takes place in our lungs. Okay. The air passes through nasal passage. First of all, it enters through nostril and then it passes through nasal passage, then windpipe, that means trachea, and finally it reaches to our lungs. Children, our lungs are present in an airtight cavity, that is known as chest cavity. Around the side of the chest cavity, there is a rib cage with sheets of muscles between the ribs. Okay. Children, there are two mechanisms of breathing. Just see here. The rib cage encloses the lungs in it. Okay. At the bottom of the chest cavity, there is diaphragm. Diaphragm forms the floor of the chest cavity. Children, when we take in air, the muscles of our ribs stretches. When we breathe in, the muscles stretches because they need more space. So they stretches. Okay. Our chest becomes swollen, lungs become swollen. Okay. Then the diaphragm moves downward and become flat due to contraction. Okay. Since children, the size of our lungs will increase when we breathe in. the ribs will stretch, and children, you can see here, suppose these are the ribs, and when we breathe in, the size increases, okay, and the size of the lungs will also increase, the volume of lungs will increase. So children, suppose earlier it was like this, okay, and diaphragm are connected below it, okay. Now when the size is increased, so diaphragm will move little downward, okay. So children, remember this thing, when we breathe in, rib cage stretches and it moves upward, and the diaphragm moves downward. This is the most important thing. And children, vice versa in expiration. In expiration, inspiration means inhalation, and expiration means exhalation. We can consider. So the reverse process happens in expiration. The rib cage muscles contract and they are pulled to downward and inward, and it releasing the diaphragm in an upward position, because the volume of the chest cavity will decrease, so it will increase the air pressure, okay children. So there are two important mechanism of breathing, inspiration and expiration. So children, you must remember, when we breathe in, chest cavity, the size of the chest cavity will increase, and the rib cage will move upward and outside, and the diaphragm will move downward. And children, the reverse process happens during expiration. So children, you can understand what is the difference between respiration and breathing. There are so many differences between respiration and breathing. Children, breathing is the first stage of respiration, while respiration is the complete process, okay. It is a complex biochemical process, but it is a simple mechanical process, because there is only a mechanical principle there and an organism which acts like machine. That's why it is known as mechanical process. That the organ, that means the lungs, acts like a machine, and we inhale and exhale. But respiration is not a simple process, it is a complicated process, and so many reactions are involved here. Children, it causes oxidation of glucose molecule into carbon dioxide, water and energy, but it only provide oxygen through inhalation, okay. So children, respiration process में energy form होता है, release होता है, but breathing process में there is no release of energy. Children, it takes place inside the cell, it takes place outside the cell, okay. There is an important difference, children. Now see the fourth point. This is the oxidation of glucose, and this is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide gas. So children, in short, if it will be asked what is breathing, you can say this is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And what is respiration? So simply you can say this is the oxidation of glucose, okay children. So children, there are some disease which are related from our respiratory system. So children, that is very interesting. What are the disease that can happen? Let us know something about that. Okay children, that you will see in the next video.